pretty much ready to get to the fun side. Alright, so ran our clutch remote bleeder behind the intake manifold down there, as well as this power wire. Gonna run those together and secure them. They're gonna be tied to the top of this firewall. A setup like this, I would like to run a fuel pressure regulator adjustable, something that has boost reference. However, that's end up being like a $600 upgrade. So if he ever wants to increase the boost, we're definitely going to have to do that. Put a fuel pressure regulator probably where that fuel filter is, and just change everything up with hard lines and route it all together, because that's where the return line is in the back. We could run an earlier year return line and install it on this car, and then run the regulator in the front. We're just going to make some room here so we can install those guys. Kooks instructions have you install them from the bottom, unlike a lot of people online seem to think they're going from the top. They may well go in from the top, but it's just more work. So this looks good. We'll be able to sneak it by that, and then we'll get the starter installed before we bolt this up, as well as the dipstick. trying to make a dent on this mix here. Basically what we've got is we've got the new water pump set up. Today we're going to be installing that, as well as the steering rack and a bunch of other miscellaneous things. This is actually an LS3 water pump going on this C5 Corvette, because we're installing that Edelbrock E4 supercharger. So we've got some Edelbrock brackets here and here. Had to grind a little bit down in here to get this thing to fit flush, but this is pretty much just mocked up right now. The bolts are still loose, but this is the supercharger tensioner, and then you have the idlers that get installed, one on the bottom, one on the top. We've also upgraded the stock power steering bracket to the 2004 style. That's a lot more rigid of a mount. So we've got our cradle mounted up with our spacers sitting in there. You can kind of see it. Also went ahead and put the power steering rack back in. You know, these are kind of a pain to get in and out, but that's all done. Back in, have it tied in with the steering rack, so that coupler's tightened up down in there. We've got the 2004 power steering bracket installed, sitting there. With the earlier years, there was actually a window right there, which would cause this whole bracket extension to actually break off. So that's corrected. Brand new power steering rack, brand new power steering bracket. I mean, we've got our ATI balancer installed, also put the AC belt on, so just got done with that. So now I guess we're gonna install that LS3 water pump down there and see how it looks, and then maybe we can test fit the E4 supercharger. So we got the water pump on. That's looking nice. It's fairly intricate here. And then it also center locates on the cylinder head, which that fits very well. 243 heads on this one. But yeah, we'll get some more of this supercharger stuff installed. So we ran into some issues with the supercharger, so we're gonna have to send that back. I peeled the sticky piece off of the cover here and stuck my finger in the port, and I picked up a bunch of aluminum shavings. They're kind of oily, and they're gonna send another one. I mean, I've got the other half of the kit already installed, so we're just gonna exchange the head unit on this deal. But that won't stop me from using it as a mock-up supercharger, at least. Alright, so I got the hood liner off. I'm going to see what my clearance is. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be hitting in the back, but I'm wondering if that center brace right there is going to hit on the front of the supercharger there. So let me clear off the cowl and all the tools and all that stuff, and then I will get back with another test fit. Almost. Alright, so we pressed the hood down. We've got our grease lined up on our various points. You see a little bit right there. So that is hitting on this back corner here. This piece might be able to be cut out, but you're going to lose some structural rigidity. So you may have to brace that with something. The second point of impact we're having is right there. That lines up pretty much with the supercharger pulley right there. So that's the second area. We've got more room up here. With that brace cut out, it may just fit, but then I don't know as far as the rest of this hood. So that'll pretty much sum it up for today. We found our impact points for the hood. It may be possible to get this hood trimmed up in order to fit the supercharger, but I'm not 100%. I do know that that thing's going to be rocking back and forth pretty violently. Right now we're on stock mounts, so may want to consider upgrading those to polyurethane if we do run this tight of a hood clearance. If not, we're going to go with a high-rise hood. That definitely has more room. We may still have to trim up the brace in order to get it to fit, but it's definitely a beautiful looking hood. But the rest of this car is in really good shape, so I want to keep this thing nice and clean and just super tame power. I appreciate you guys watching, and if it was helpful for you or if you enjoyed it, definitely leave a like. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe. And stay tuned. Next episode, hopefully we'll have this thing running. So rest of the car is pretty much done. I still have to install the heat exchanger, but that's pretty easy. We just got to trim it up and put it in that plastic shroud in the front with brackets, as well as the coolant pump. And then the eForce coolant tank is going to go over top of the battery. So that'll be the last thing we install. And we'll get this thing dialed in. We'll start tuning on it and see what we can get out of her. All right, you guys, take it easy.